Out-of-band authentication. It's a hot topic, especially in financial services. Let's find out how easy or difficult this is. I'm talking with Peter Tapling. He's the president and CEO of Authentify. Peter, thanks for joining me.
Hello, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Now, we talked for a few minutes before we got on camera, and we talked about the incidence of ACH and wire fraud. Right. And your position was so many of these incidents could have been avoided if people had just used out-of-band authentication.
Well, the good thing about the internet is it's created an opportunity for very real-time service with customers, but it's also created a distance between, particularly in financial services, a distance between the customer and the institution that they're not used to. And so speed is the bad guy's ally, and it's against the bank. So certainly people appreciate being contacted when particular transactions look risky, and out-of-band authentication provides the opportunity to do that in real time at very low cost to the institution.
Well, that's something I wanted to ask you about, because I think we can do a little bit of myth busting here. Two of the things you hear often about out-of-band authentication and other security measures is, one, it's difficult, and two, the customers don't want that extra level of contact. Talk about that.
You know, we've done 3 studies on this. We've had studies, we've sponsored studies, and we've done studies ourselves, and we've done studies through our customers, and that's patently false. At the end of the day, customers do like the contact. What they don't like is they don't like the telephone tag. But the nature of an out-of-band authentication transaction is they get a web page that says, hey, we want to call you right now to verify this transaction. When they hit the button, 5 seconds later or 3 seconds later, their phone rings. It's a very interactive experience. It's a very natural experience, and customers truly like it.
So tell me about the evolution of out-of-band authentication, because it's not necessarily just a phone call now.
No, it's not. What started as, I mean, going way back, originally the concept of out-of-band authentication is a well-worn security concept. In the very early days of online banking, you may recall enrolling for online banking at your institution, and the last web page was, thank you very much, we'll mail you a PIN. Well, at the end of the day, the Postal Service was the out-of-band trusted network. And the concept is, if you're really Tom, and the Tom I think you are, you'll be able to capture this piece of information that I send by mail. Mail is universally hated for this purpose. It's not real time. People go away, and you know, back then, probably 1 in 5 things I mailed out ever came back. And so the telephone network provides a lot of those same characteristics. There are known and unique endpoints. There's legal implication for breach. More importantly, in this day of mobile services, people know immediately if they've lost their telephone. I might have a security token or some mechanism that I've been given by my company, but if I'm on the road, somebody could take it out of my desk drawer, and I don't know for several days. My phone, if my phone's gone, I know in 5 minutes. And so it's a very effective, you know, no hardware, no software, no training on the voice channel. Everybody gets it. Everybody knows how to drive it. The very first transaction people do, they do successfully.
Tell me a little bit about what Authentify is doing now and how your solution is evolving.
So what we've heard from our customers is we like out-of-band authentication, and we'd like to do more of it. The challenge that they have is it involves the public switch telephone network, and the telephone company wants to get theirs, and so there's a transactional fee associated. And so what we've done is we've created a mobile application that preserves the concept of out-of-band authentication by getting out of the breached channel or potentially breached channel between the web session and the institution's server. And this mobile app, once connected to an account, you can send as many transactions over it as you want. It also solves what we call the batch problem, right? So somebody at a title company queues up 50 payments on Wednesday to send checks out of escrow. They're all high value, they're all one time, they're all by definition risky out of all the risk management engines. And the state of the art today is batches. The bad guys have figured out, I change 2 items in the batch and bad things happen. And so what the mobile app does uniquely is it gives an opportunity for that person or for a second party within the organization. A lot of times a bookkeeper queues up the payments and a supervisor goes ahead and confirms them. But it gives them a very simple way to look at the details of every transaction and say yes, no on an individual transaction basis.
Now, the FFIEC authentication guidance is sort of put a special spotlight on out-of-band authentication. How are your banking customers responding to the guidance in terms of deploying new layered security controls?
Very positively. You know, our existing customers kind of see it as a validation, if you will, of a strategy that they've had for a very long time. And certainly new banks like the fact that it's easy. I think what we found over time, and you brought it up earlier in the conversation, is gee, this is hard, is they found, boy, it's really not hard. It's very simple to implement, it's very easy on the customers, and it's mobile. It's mobile like the customer is mobile. So my bank actually uses Authentify for out-of-band authentication, and when my bookkeeper queues up a wire, I get a telephone call, and that can happen literally anywhere around the world. Very convenient. So banks have reacted very positively. We've been doing transaction authentication with Authentify since 2005, right? So this is not new to us, and so we've got a lot of experience. We've got a lot of best practice where we can help our banking customers create very streamlined, very first-time success-oriented out-of-band interactions.
And just finally, briefly, tell us a little bit about non-banking uses of out-of-band authentication.
Yeah, so Authentify, certainly anything in e-commerce, anything where authentication is required. So the e-commerce space, the healthcare space, and an area we call general kind of corporate security credential management, right? So my background's in digital certificates and PKI, and there was always the requirement to issue an activation pin for the credential via an out-of-band trusted network, and that's where this idea originally came from. So we still do a fair amount in that space. In fact, if you get a digital certificate under any of the Symantec legacy VeriSign brands in the mass market space, you'll probably go through an Authentify telephone call. So the credential management inside the enterprise, and any time where you're reaching out to broad communities, and those broad communities don't have to be consumers. Many of the applications we have are business to business, where you're trying to reach out to thousands or tens or hundreds of thousands of suppliers, business partners, et cetera.
Very good. Peter, thanks for your time and your insight.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. Appreciate it.